I agree with your sentiment that that's worrisome is probably not the right word, but something you kind of have to raise an eyebrow at and be
It
a
could swing
little
a
bit
big game.
concerned about. Yeah, but I do think that's the definitive answer right
Yeah,
now.
that's fair. Jack, which defensive lineman needs to have the biggest year for Tennessee to succeed? Who is it for you?
Yeah, I'll go one of the pass rushers. I mean, I know Brian and I have talked about this, but Josh Joseph's primed for a big year, I think, and he's, you want to have a Byron Young-esque player, and I think the combination of Joshua Josephs and Roman Harrison. Roman Harrison's a guy that doesn't get talked about enough, and he was a bad dude in some games last year. I think
All
he'll
steel.
be big for Tennessee this season as well. But the combination of Josh Josephs and Roman Harrison, the interior guys, Bryson Eason, Amari Thomas, you kind of know who they are. It's not someone you go to your friends and be like, hey, we got Amari Thomas, we got Bryson Eason on our team. But those guys are fine. They haven't let Tennessee down. I don't think they're not a liability at all. And you kind of know what Tyler Barron is at this point. So I think it's that other pass rusher, whether that's Harrison or Joshua Joseph. The combination is my answer here.
Interesting. What about you, Ryan? Do you share it? Is it Joshua Josephs for you?
Yeah, it is definitely Joshua Josephs. And just because it needs to be a pass rusher, and I agree with you in your sentiment that Roman Harrison's probably a little bit underrated, but he's another guy I think we kind of know who he is. He's been, again, he was better last year, but pretty similar in production and pretty similar roles. Now, he'll have a bigger role this year, I think, but pretty similar roles over the last at least 2 years. So I would agree, probably Joseph's. To me, Amari Thomas, it just feels like he played at a different gear or a different level early in the season. And I think if he can show some consistency, maybe that's naive of me to think, but I think he could reach another level and be maybe not dominant, but a really, really good, all SEC caliber guy in the middle.
Matthew Butler caliber?
Yeah, I think that's a good compare. I mean, he's not what I loved about Matthew Butler, and he's an all-time underrated Vol of recent days. He just played his heart out. I mean, at Ole Miss game, he played like 75 snaps. An interior defensive lineman, 75 snaps. I mean, he was just a dog. So I don't, that's what always has made me have tremendous respect for Matthew Butler, and he was great with doing media stuff too. Always one of the better players on the team. Amari Thomas probably not going to do that, but I think from like a production standpoint, I definitely could see him stepping up to what Matthew Butler did in his senior year.
I think it's Tyler Barron for me. Can he do something?
Can he finally?
Can he find like? I think he quietly needs to have a big year because I think it's asking a lot still to put a lot on Joshua Josephs, Tyree West, James Pierce. Like they're rotation guys still at this point. It's gonna be their show next year. Harrison's gone, Barron's gone. Like I'm more interested in them next year. Like this should be like we always are looking. It's always who's next. It's like those are more 4-stars. Do you know who's a 4-star, 94 overall, like compared to Tyrone Crawford, who's an NFL player with the Cowboys, good player. It was Tyler Barron. Like Tyler Barron is big. He is someone that has flashed. He's never like
Tennessee loses the pit game without him last year.
But that's what I'm saying. Like he just needs to be a game wrecker. Like he needs to be the anchor of that defensive line. He needs to help because Jack on the pod last week we were talking about like the biggest thing to keep this. I mean, if Wesley Walker, PFF's favorite safety, has anything to say about it, but like the biggest way to help this secondary, if they play a lot of the same guys from last year, is the pass rush take a step forward. And I think that actually starts with Tyler Barron because he's going to get a lot of snaps. He's going to get a lot of opportunities, and you kind of really need him to pop and generate a lot of pressure. I mean, with Byron Young gone, who was really your only go-to guy off the edge that you could count on, and he was good, but he wasn't Will Anderson or
he victimized offensive tackles that were very overwhelmed by his athleticism. He disappeared would be over dramatic, but he was pretty ineffective against a lot of good teams.
Yeah. But hey, good for him. Like he made it. Great story. Love Byron.
Great story. Yeah.
Great VFL.
And he was. I mean, I say good teams. That was probably a little demeaning because he played fantastic against LSU.
Yeah.
Granted, as a backup offensive tackle, but LSU was a really good team, and Kentucky obviously was known for a horrible offensive line, but they were all right. I was going to say they were pretty good, but you lose to Vanderbilt.
Their offensive tackle transferred to Florida, right? Isn't Keontae Goodwin? Isn't he starting at Florida?
That sounds
nice.
Sounds right. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame Byron Young's not back for that game.
I know. but it's just going to hurt that much more. A bad Florida offensive line still beats Tennessee 17-13 in the Swamp. I really just don't think y'all want to do a pod with me.